Gang signs out the window, yeah, bitch. Yeah, bitch.
What's up, NFT God? How you doing, fam?
Yo, totally, man. What's going on, man? I'm doing fantastic. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much for coming up. I've been so excited for this space here, for this stream. It's we started chatting. God, when was it? It was about 2.5 weeks ago. I slid in the DMs and I was like, "Yo, you want to do a space, man?" You're like, "Fuck yeah, let's do it."
Yeah, I absolutely suck with DMs, as you probably have learned. But I think we caught each other on another space, and that's the way we set these things up. Is we talk on a space. That's how we'll set things up.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'm glad it worked out, man. So we've got a live stream that's going on YouTube at the same time. It's been a feat to juggle all of this, but let me pin it to the top. We've got some visuals here for you guys, both myself and NFT God speaking up here on stage. If there's any kind of screen share that we're going to be doing, we'll put that up there as well. So let me just pin that to the top. Here we go.
Wow, that's sick, man. I'm looking at it right now on my computer. You're changing the game here, dude.
You like it?
Yeah, this is sick.
I'm glad you like it, man. Yeah, I've been geeking out about live streaming here for the last maybe I don't know 3 weeks or so, and I created this VTuber avatar here to kind of really play with it, and yeah, just I don't know, just basically having fun with it.
How's it been working out for you? Have you found it drives any sort of traffic, any kind of flywheel effect there? What have you discovered?
Well, I really haven't done any kind of promotion at all for my other channels. You know, like I was experimenting a little bit on Twitch, and this is actually my first time ever streaming to YouTube, and so I've been trying to kind of perfect my like the flow, the software, the setup, and everything. So I've been kind of like working on that, and I'm almost at a place where I'm comfortable to do this regularly. So yeah, I think this is actually the first time that I'm doing a full on legit space while streaming everything as well.
Did you build this? How did you code this out, or you take a bunch of other tools that are going on? I mean, I just sorry to nerd out. I'm watching it right now. I'm pretty blown away.
No, absolutely. No, it's just a kind of a combination of a few different tools and software and like hardware. You know, I have like an audio mixer that lets me, port in music like this. You know, fade out, fade in, and you can see that there's like chat on the left here. I'm using a streaming software called OBS, which is, it's like open source, it's free, all that stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah, we'll get into OBS later. I have a little sore spot for OBS.
Really?
Yeah, OBS is the reason why I lost all my, my crypto NFTs a few weeks ago.
Oh,
anyway,
shit. Oh,
way to peel open those scabs, Tolly.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I actually do want to hear about that because I want to make sure that I don't get fucked.
No, you're using OBS, so that means you didn't download the one that steals all your crypto, so you're good.
Oh, geez. Okay. Damn. I dodged a bullet there. Whew.
I just brought down the mood of the space like 10 notches.
Oh my God. All right. Let's get this party started. So, all right, we got a lot of people in here. Let's retweet the space out. I think it's going to be, I think this is going to be a really interesting conversation. NFT God, have you spoken a lot about monetization of brands on interviews like this before?
I've dabbled, not too much. I usually get the same questions every time I do these, which is like, how do you grow your Twitter following? How did you discover NFTs? So I'm kind of pumped we're going to be talking about kind of the level 2 or the level 3 of that, which is like how to turn this all into a business.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to kind of talk about like how you monetize your brand. That's kind of what this is about, right? Because you can make money in a lot of different ways, right? There's an infinite number of ways you can make money, but it seems to me like what you're focused on is building your brand and then using, just multiple different channels from there to really kind of, to monetize it. Is that right? Like it's brand building. That's your spiel.
Yeah, it's brand building. There's a lot of, and this will probably be the theme of the entire conversation. There's a lot of easy ways to make money in Web3, and there's a lot of hard ways to make money in Web3. And the better way to go is the hard route. And that's the route I'm taking, which is the long term, building a brand, doing it the slow way to make money. Doing it the kind of easy way is a good way to, kind of destroy your brand and decrease your earnability.
Interesting. Okay. There's a hard way and there's an easy way. I feel like the easy way, that's the engagement farming route, right? Like where you just kind of you play to people's dopamine, right? Is that kind of what you're getting at with that? Yeah.
Let me give you I'll give you the easy playbook right here. It's pretty simple. It's been done 1,000 times before. It's going to be done 1,000,000 times in the future. Here's the easy route. Do every cheat code you can to get followers, right? Engagement farm, bot, reply 5,000 times a day to steal audience. Like, do the absolute easiest things possible to gain a following.
Mm-hmm.
Piss people off, go onto spaces and annoy people. Do whatever it takes to like get attention by any means necessary. Once you have that attention, then you do things like release an NFT project. You really have a couple options. Typically, people do both. Is they'll start doing undisclosed advertisements. So you got a bunch of attention. The easy way now, cheap cartoon zoo animal projects will come to you, DM you, and say, "Hey, do you do promotions?" You say, "Yeah, give me $1,000. I'll tweet about your project or retweet you or whatever, or do a giveaway." They pay $1,000. You do the giveaways. You retweet them. That compounds. Now you're getting even more cheap engagement and more cheap attention and more cheap followers. Then you get to the point when you hit like 30, 40K, where you can now release your own NFT project. And then what you do is now you do what you were getting paid to do a second ago, which is now you go to all the people seeking cheap attention. You pay them to retweet you. You go to all the alpha groups. You promise the alpha group leaders inside information and you pay them. And then they start talking about you in the alpha chats. And then you sell out a project, make a couple $1 million, rug it, and then no one talks about you ever again and your brand's destroyed. That's kind of the easy route that a lot of people take. I'm going kind of the harder route, which is like building a brand out. I know that was really heavy and a lot all at once, but I kind of want to give you the easy playbook first.
All right. So you guys took notes, right? That was the easy playbook. All right. But what are the risks of that? Like, what's the downfall? Yeah,
there's a lot of risks. The risks are 5 years in the future when governments and law agencies, technology catches up. They discover what you did, because everything on the blockchain is permanent and you get arrested. That's one of the risks. The second risk is you absolutely destroy your brand along the way and everything you've been trying to build goes to waste and you have to kind of start over again. You create a new account. You start doing it the easy way again in the cheap way. And the third is you piss off the wrong people. You put out a project, you rug it, you make your millions, you piss off the wrong people who know a lot about technology, and they find you. So those are the risks with doing it the easy way.
Okay. All right. So so it sounds like you would take shortcuts, and you it doesn't sound honest. Like it doesn't sound like genuine compared to.
No.
Yeah.
It's completely dishonest. It's completely ingenuine. You're basically taking advantage of people's emotions and dopamine receptors in order to get cheap attention. And then you leverage that cheap attention and you turn that into profit-making opportunities to take advantage of the moment, whether that's through, a rug pull NFT project or just doing nonstop, undisclosed advertising through giveaways to make a couple bucks. That's kind of the cheap playbook in crypto and NFTs.
Right. And it works, right? It works to get attention, but it's kind of a flash in the pan. It's not sustainable. Whereas building a brand, it can actually, be something that can last, a long time.
Yeah, brands turn into businesses, and businesses can outlast you, and brands can outlast you. So if you do it the slow way, which takes a tremendous amount of time, a tremendous amount of effort, dedication, it takes a tremendous amount of mental fortitude. You can build a brand that outlasts you and is way more profitable in the long run, if that's what you care about, than the kind of easy and cheap way out. And I'm trying to attempt to do it the kind of the hard way.
Okay. Do you feel like you're on your way?
Yes, I am going to be doing this full time soon, and so I'm really doubling down. I think I'm hopefully building something special. The feedback I've been getting is some of the things I've been putting out has been helpful, and so my mission really, as with under the NFT God account and with the 1% Better brand, is to try to uplift creators, uplift builders, and help people build brands kind of the right way. And so far, the feedback's been good. So I really just want to double, triple, quadruple down on it and keep building this the right way, and hope that the value I put out, gets returned to me, even a fraction amount of that. I always want to be putting out more value than I'm getting back in return.
Mm-hmm. So right now, your NFT God brand, your 1% Better brand, it's not your full-time gig just yet.
No, I've been doing this in a way where it's de-risked. There's a lot to it. It's complicated. So I'm 32. I've been building my career for 10 years now. I love my career. I've dedicated much of my life to it. I work at a software company. I manage a team of tech consultants. It's something I've been working towards, my adult life, and it's something I'm very proud of. And so what my strategy has basically been, I started NFT God in December of 2021, so a little over a year now. I decided to make the sacrifice of basically all my free time and try to do both at the same time until I get to a place where I feel like the cutover to NFT God will be as low risk. I mean, it'll never be risk-free doing something like this, but as low risk as possible, and do it kind of the right way, and get NFT God to the point where I'm super comfortable with what I'm doing, so that when I make that switch over, like, I know what the roadmap is. I'm not just taking guesses. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I'm very close to that point. And so, yeah, the last year has been a lot of working from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep to keep building my career. And, what's been a side hustle of mine, which is NFT God and 1% Better, and getting both. I think I'm getting close to that point where I feel very confident in what I've built, and think that the extra time I would put into it would lead to compound gains and results.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, I kind of want to jump into some meat here before we do. So, if you're in the YouTube chat, feel free to drop in any questions you have for myself or for NFT God, and I'll do my best to drop it in during this. You could also drop it into the Twitter chat here on the bottom right. If there's anybody that wants to come up as a speaker, just raise your hand and we'll bring you up towards the end for any questions. So, NFT God, I like to ask people, and I'm actually genuinely curious. What is your what's your morning routine? Or actually, what's your daily routine? What does your day look like? From the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, what are you doing?
Yeah, so over the last several months, I've been in very much do as I say, not as I do mode, because I've had to sacrifice basically all my time to let me respond to this real quick. 1 second. Mm-hmm. Here we go. I never know if it like cuts off my voice when I do that. Anyway.
No, the speaker to co-host it doesn't do that.
Okay, cool. Because it messes with the audio on my end. So anyway, I've been sacrificing basically all my time to build NFT God and 1% better and everything I'm doing. And so I've let go of a lot of healthy habits, and it's been tough. You know, it's been tough physically, mentally, spiritually, all that. But
I feel that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you know what that's like. You're building an awesome brand, you're building an awesome project. I'm sure you've gone into the same modes where you know what the right thing to do is, but because you have to sacrifice time, maybe you don't stick to those habits. I've kind of been in that mode for a few months now. It's tough, but when I was in a good spot, kind of when NFT God was starting, and really all the time before that, you know, I was waking up. The best thing I was doing was not looking at my phone for the first half hour or so of the day. I've been a lifelong writer. You know, I take pride in my writing. And so, you know, I would take out a notebook and just write down all my thoughts, write down what I want to accomplish that day, write down what's important, write down, you know, really just anything that comes to my mind and free flow into a notebook. And I found that was one of the most impactful habits I've ever had. You know, it was almost like therapy in a way, where it got my mind right and I just made me start the day off good, like just start the day in the right place, and it got my creativity juices flowing. So you know, when I'm doing habits and doing things the right way, I'm starting the day like that, and then I'm going to work out. Unfortunately, the last few months it's been very much wake up late because I stayed up late writing. Immediately get to my Web 2 job, like wake up, go to the computer, turn it on, start talking to people and working, which is just like mentally, like I feel like the worst thing you can possibly do is like wake up and immediately put the blue light in your eyes and start working.
I'm
right?
there with you, man. Like I've got the same thing. I actually, you know, at this point, like I'm like, I wake up and instead of immediately reaching for my phone, I try to get my mind right. Like I just, you know, try to think positive thoughts, optimistic before reaching for my phone and, you know, publishing the good morning tweet or, you know, checking up on Discord, checking my email and everything. Are you like reaching for your phone instantly at this point?
Unfortunately, yes. And again, I tweet about it all the time. Like you should never reach for your phone right when you wake up. Here's the sticky situation I'm in, which is I'm usually writing until like 1 or 2 in the morning. And that means I have to wake up pretty much at 9 a.m. For work. And I have to send a tweet out every day at 9 a.m. That's just like 9 a.m. Here's a little hack for everyone. 9 a.m. is kind of the sweet spot for tweeting because that's when basically every time zone's awake except for West Coast America. But that's like the time where most time zones are awake. So I try to get a tweet out every day at 9 a.m. And so I wake up and I immediately make sure the tweet went out all right. Mm-hmm. Make sure like there was no spelling mistakes before it went out. Try to get some replies out to people who respond to that tweet just because I'm just trying to build my community that way. And so that typically means I'm waking up and like grabbing my phone, which just so, especially on social media and Twitter, is just so bad for your brain to wake up and get that dopamine hit right away and like see the likes pour in. Like it's just so unhealthy, but I'm just forced to do it right now. But man, I can't wait to be, you know, NFT God 24/7 and be working on this because then I can get back to those healthy routines, you know?
I feel you, man. I feel you. Okay, so, all right, so making $1 million. All right, so what are you doing? What do you think that you're doing right now to get yourself to that point, you know, in a way that, I guess, you know, speaking to the audience, to the listeners here, I mean, people in chat, like, so you're building your brand, right? There are people, I imagine, that are trying to do the same thing or something similar. You know, I'm trying to kind of position this in a way for people to be able to walk away with some nuggets that they can immediately use, right? So I guess kind of zooming out to the small guy, and looking at the first conversation that we had about there are two ways to do this. There's the quick way and there's the long way, the long and sustainable way, right? So we talked about the risks of the quick way and the benefits of the long way, which is actually building a brand that's sustainable, that's probably not gonna fall to outside pressures, like legal stuff, and destroying reputation. I feel like with you, there's really nothing that you've done, as far as I know, that could be a risk to you. Are you like a pretty like methodical person, and like you think things through clearly before you do them? You're not impulsive, right?
Yeah. So first of all, I want to make one thing clear because I came in really, really hot into this space. Because I see there's a ton of people in the audience. I want to make one thing clear real quick. Like when I was talking about the bad way to do things, that wasn't with anyone particularly in mind or a shot at anyone specific. I just want to make that clear. That was, I talked to a founder a couple days ago, and he was talking about his experiences with someone who was taking that short-term playbook, and that's what inspired my impassioned speech. I just, on the record, that wasn't with anyone in the audience or anyone else in mind. Second of all, I just want to make that clear. Things can spread quick on Twitter. That's all I'm saying. You probably know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trying to build the 1% better brand. So that's my brand I'm building. I registered as an LLC. I fully plan on turning it into like a company. I want to build it in the slowest, most methodical way possible, where I try to move in a way where everything's above boards, everything's ethical. I kind of want to take a Web 2 approach to building a Web 3 company, which I don't think a ton of people are doing, which is just like there's a lot of risk you introduce when it comes to using NFTs in specific ways. And so what I want to do is I want to make sure every brick I lay on 1% better is something that just gives more value to my audience, builds NFT God the right way, makes micro pivots. So every decision I'm making is like the right one. I just want to take it slow. It's very easy to take it fast in the space, try to keep up with bull markets and bear markets and all of that. I'm trying to ensure that every tweet I put out, every piece of content I create is only pushing me and my brand in the right way and helping my community and the people who read my content, even more. So yeah, I would say I'm pretty methodical. I think in the business world, it's important to move fast, but while moving fast, it's important the people that have the longest term mindsets are going to be the one that wins, right? If you're playing the game with a 10, 15, 20-year mindset, time horizon, you're going to be in a lot better position than people playing the 2-month time horizon game or the 1-year time horizon game. So when I'm building my account or building my brand, right, like I could put out a who's active right now tweet or like whatever will get me 1,000 likes in an hour. And yeah, that might get me some cheap follows, right? But I don't think long-term that's going to do much for me. I think that the followers that, join me, like they'll like that one tweet, but then the next tweet I put out that's nothing like who's active right now, they're not going to like it, which is going to hurt my algorithm. The way the algorithm works is if people see your tweets and they don't engage or they don't read it, it hurts your standing in the algorithms because what you're telling the algorithm is this person's content stinks, right? I scrolled past it. And now your standing gets worse and you have a less of a chance of being shown to other people. So, moral of the story is everything I do, I want to be building my brand the right way so that when people do read my stuff or do join on or do subscribe to the newsletter, they're more likely to get more value out, keep engaging, because it'll keep them with the brand long term rather than me putting out some kind of engagement farming and they just they press like in the moment, they never engage with me again.
What if your brand is the shit posting brand, the engagement farming brand, and that's how you plan to keep it forever?
That's fine. That's totally fine. I also want to say this, like, I'm not saying anything is right or wrong. This is just like my interpretation of how I'm building my business. That's totally fine. The reason why I decided not to go that route is, and this is like the most cliche thing ever, I really want to bridge the gap between Web 2 and Web 3. And I don't believe that the Web 2 brands, the Amazons of the world who are joining the space, the Microsofts of the world that are joining the space, I just don't think they're going to want to work with the toxicity, the engagement farming. Like, I don't think they want to associate with that. I believe they're going to want to work with the brands doing things the right way that will be like able to attract both Web3 people and also Web2 people who are getting value from the content. And so, I think there's still tons and tons of money to be made from being just pure Web3 engagement farmer. Like, the Web3 market's huge. It's only going to get bigger. Like, if engagement farming is your thing, do that. You can definitely build a successful business. To me, I think the most sustainable way to approach it, especially if you're trying to cross over and get to a bigger audience, is to kind of do the long route, the provide value route, just the long-term thinking route.
Right. Okay. So what do you mean by attracting the Web 2 people to Web 3? So there's, it makes sense that the Web 2 people aren't interested in the engagement farming and all that stuff that's going on Twitter, because they're just not in the culture. They don't understand it, right? They just don't understand it. And so like, what do you mean exactly by attracting the Web 2 people to Web 3?
Yeah, so right now, I would say Web3 is obviously my core audience. You go into any of my tweets, you look at the comments, they're all cartoon zoo animal pictures, right? I believe as I scale up and grow my content, there will be a cross section between Web3. Like, the people in my audience will still like it. But as I grow and expand my distribution channels, as I start building on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok, my content will also play with the Web 2 crowd, which will attract, more people in. And so I'm looking for that cross section that pleases my core audience. Like, Web 3 will always be my core audience. I'll always be loyal to Web 3 people who read my content, and always make sure everything I create is relevant to them. But I want to find that sweet spot where it's also relevant and interesting to Web 2 people, the quote unquote normies. Because I think that's the best shot we have at mass adoption. Like, I don't think we get mass adoption if the entire space is doing who's active right now, is gossiping about whoever, is like talking, like, just doing all the standard, engagement farming stuff you see in Web3. I just don't think like my dad reads those tweets and would know what the hell's going on and would want to follow along. But if I create content that's relevant to both Web3 people and Web 2 people, let me give you an example. What's one commonality? And I'm sorry if I keep rambling. Your questions are great and they got me fired up.
No, it's all good.
What's one commonality between Web3 and Web 2 people? Like, they both want to escape their 9 to 5, right? Like, everyone kind of wants to escape their 9 to 5 and spend all their time dedicated to what they find passionate in life. And so that's relevant to both Web3 and Web 2 people. And so if I can really hone in on that sweet spot of what's relevant to everyone, but have that kind of Web3 cultural twist to it that's still attractive to my core audience, I believe that's the way I rope in Web 2 people to Web 3 and make it more mainstream and bring more people into the culture.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I'm looking at your 1%better.io blog here, and like, this is like, there's just these articles that you have here at the top. It's not about Web3. It's like Web 2 content that anybody could use, right? But I'm sure, like, the actual content of the blog, there's plenty of mention of NFTs and crypto and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's an interesting strategy, and I completely agree with you as far as the onboarding aspect. Like, you've got so many people in Web 2. Eventually, they're going to be on Web 3. It's not going to be called Web 3, right? But we have to onboard them. Like we have to attract them over here. Somehow, whether it's a newsletter or some kind of personal development kind of thing, or fucking like streaming, right? But like as it stands right now, there's not a lot that's attractive about Web3. There's a lot of horror stories of people losing a lot of money. There's a bunch of goofy animal JPEGs out there, right? And people just aren't interested. And so we have to change up our strategy and our content and offer products and services and entertainment that Web 2 will enjoy.
Exactly. That's exactly it. I think it's going to take a big shift in the paradigm of NFT technology and how we use it, as well as the content we create to onboard more people. And I just don't think right now, with the state of things, it's very welcoming to the, again, quote unquote, normies. Like, I don't think normal people want to speculate on JPEGs of zoo animals. Like, I just don't think there'll ever be a day where I call my uncle and he's like, dude, did you see the price of fucking doodles? Or did you see the price of Bored Squirrel Stoner Club? My God, it's up to 10. Like, I just don't think that day will ever happen.
Shots fired at Bored Squirrel Stoner Club.
Yeah, if someone takes that idea right now and starts a collection, I will buy it. I will mint it, I promise you. But I do think there will be a day where my uncle calls and he's like, hey, man, I just bought this thing on Amazon and they reward me with this sick, outfit for my avatar, which is getting me 5% off the rest of my purchases. And I do believe that day will come where NFTs are being used in a way that enhances core experiences we already have. And if we can normalize that and normalize using technology for enhancing experiences rather than pure speculation and gambling, I think that's how we attract people in it. And that's kind of something, and I don't want to show myself or anything, but just it's what I'm trying to do. And I'm not telling anyone here to buy it. It's not a financial instrument. I don't care if no one ever buys it ever. But like I'm creating NFTs and like rewarding it to people who create cool content, right? Like I have a weekly content competition where, if you use a hashtag, I go at the end of the week, read all your content, and whoever makes the best, I like mint and airdrop you an NFT for free. Like there's no, like, it's not a financial instrument. It's simply a reward that enhances people creating cool content. And like, I think that's the model that will bring more people in. I'm not sure, although there will always be a space for speculation. Like, I'm not going to lie to myself and say there's not a space, or there will always be a core community that's into that, which, I'll be in that core community. I've been doing it for a year, but I'm just saying what I'm trying to do with my brand and business is just try to do things in a way that's more welcoming to the Web 2 crowd.
Right. So, all right. So for the people here, probably most of us here are in Web 3. And everybody's got their little niche, right? Like I've got my niche, you've got your niche. What, I'm trying to think of a rough framework that somebody could follow to build a brand that can reach into Web 2 and attract people in. Maybe it's just for Web 3, who knows? But on the topic of how to make $1 million, right? What does a person do to get started on that track? Looking at that long route that we were talking about before.
You build a powerful distribution channel. So this is my strategy right now, is I'm trying to build a very powerful distribution channel with my newsletter. I believe if I get, and also for the record, I haven't made $1 million. So if anyone's reading this like, oh shit, NFT Gods made $1 million, I haven't made a fraction of that. So just for the record there. But here's my plan to make $1 million. It's social media. We have here in Web3, we're leveraging two of the highest leverage formats of anything you can do. And I'm kind of trying to choose my words the right way here. Code and media are the two highest leverage things we have. And what I mean by that is you can create a piece of media, a video, for instance, record it once, send it out, and within a day it can be viewed by millions of people. A piece of code, you can create an NFT collection with a few lines of code. It mints out 100,000 NFTs, and that can be bought a million times over. That makes you tons of money. Code and media are super, super high leverage. Mm-hmm. So what do you need to do? You need to take advantage of those two things. So if you're looking to make $1 million, you need to either leverage through media. So start building your account the right way. Start building a distribution channel. I'm building my newsletter. I'm up to 20,000 subscribers. I'm getting to the point where I'm going to go full-time NFT God soon because I believe that's a powerful enough distribution channel to support myself. And if I keep building that up, I think that'll unlock opportunity for me to then, if I want to, sell products or, have different brand partnerships or things like that, that will get me close to that $1 million goal. Or if I decide I want to start leveraging code, I could build a Twitter tool, or I can build a software out that helps people and then leverage that through my distribution channel. So to go back to your original question, if I'm in this space and I'm trying to get to $1 million, I'm trying to think about how I could either leverage media or code to get there. Media is building your social media, building a distribution channel, building your awareness the right way, or code, which is building software that helps people that can be replicated 1 million times over.
So building code is, I guess they're both skills, right? There's creating content and then there's creating software, right? And so both require practice and skills. I feel like the creating content route, the media route, is probably a little bit more attainable for most people. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But that only makes it so that the code route's more valuable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot more media out there. There's a lot more content than there is quality code, right? Like the code, like either you have to code it yourself or you have to know how to speak the language so that you could speak to a developer, transfer your vision over, beta test, and then you still need the media component to actually promote it, right? And so I feel like the media is a lot more attainable for people. So what are some ways people can focus on that? Obviously, blogging and newsletters. Playbook. Yeah, go ahead.
Here's how you do it. You build your media distribution channel like I have, right? I've been building my Twitter. I've been building my newsletter for over a year now. And at the same time, you start building your other skill sets. You build your copywriting skill sets. You build your marketing skill sets. You build your coding skill sets. You start teaching yourself Python. You start teaching yourself JavaScript or Solidity. And as you go along, you're just every day getting a little better at everything until you hit a tipping point and things start exploding, right? If you're sitting here and you're saying to yourself, I can't learn coding, that's just too much. That's not for me. I don't have enough time. You are vastly underestimating yourself. Anyone can learn it. Anyone can learn any of these skills. And the best part is like with the internet, knowledge has never been more democratized as it is now. You can go online and learn fucking anything you want at any single time. And so, the sacrifices I've made over the last year or so is I've stopped drinking. I've never really done drugs, so I haven't been doing it anyway the last year. I cut out a lot of, the going out, bullshit like that. And I've been totally dedicating myself to building skill sets, to building my distribution channel, to learning more coding, to learning marketing and copywriting. And if you sacrifice for a little bit of time, whether it's a year or 2 years, I promise you the rest of your life will be so much better because you will get a grasp on media and code, which are, again, the two highest leverage skills you can possibly have.
I absolutely agree with the sacrifices there. Specifically with drinking, having a beer or two, I don't know, with a friend, I don't know, on the weekend, that's fine. But But drinking to excess, that's going to dull you. That's going to make you tired. It's going to make you feel weak. And like what's required to actually properly compete in any market is a lot of focus and a lot of energy and a lot of sacrifices, right? Like you're probably not going to be spending as much time with your buddies as you normally do. And I can completely agree with that. Like I've mostly stopped drinking as well because I found that it was making me weak and tired, and like it would just affect everything. Like it would make me come up with excuses in my mind to not go to the gym. Going to the gym is like one of those things that makes me feel mentally stronger and clearer and helps me to work for longer, right? And so it's I think sacrifice is absolutely the number one thing. And I think people need to be honest with themselves, and think like, can I actually give this up? Do I really want this other thing? Do I really want success? Do I really want $1 million bad enough to stop drinking and doing these unhealthy activities that make me feel weak?
Right. And here's my mindset about it. And I'm not saying this is the mindset for everyone. Like balance is everything. Like if you really enjoy drinking, have a beer or two on the weekend. It's all about balance. But my mindset is I have a very distinct dream. That dream is to build something for myself, work for myself, and build something that can sustain me and my family for the rest of my life. Like that's my dream. Like I really enjoy my career. I really enjoy my 9 to 5, but I will never feel that sense of satisfaction until I've built something for myself. So why am I going to do things? I've only got 100 years on this planet. I'm 32, so in 70 years, I'm probably going to be dead. Why would I do things that will take me further away from those dreams or make them harder to obtain, that don't bring any benefit? If I go and I get drunk throughout the week, like that makes me feel good for a couple minutes, but that takes me so much further away from my goals and dreams. And listen, when I've hit those goals and dreams, which I don't even know if I'll ever feel like I've done that, even if I do what I'm talking about. But if I ever do have that day where I feel like I've hit my goals and dreams, and I'm going to start enjoying a glass of wine here and there because I've done what satisfied my soul. But in the meantime, why would I do anything that pulls me away from the things that will satisfy my soul in the long term? And that's why I decided to make those sacrifices.
Yeah, that's great, man. So I want to do you have a hard cutoff here an hour in? I want to ask. Yeah.
My hard cutoff is at 30 past the hour, so another 45 minutes.
Okay, perfect. Sweet. So I'm gonna run through a couple of questions here in the chat, and also the Twitter chat here, and then we can keep the discussion going, and bring up some speakers too. So Northern from the YouTube chat asked, what would be your golden rules for marketing in regards to appealing to both Web 2 and Web 3?
Ooh, really, really good question. I would say the best marketing is giving value, right? Like if you're just doing a straight up ad where it's just like straight push marketing, hey, check out my product, buy it now. I don't believe that gives any value. I think the best advertising right now, especially with social media, is pull marketing. So basically giving value, right? Like the marketing I do, let me give you an example of something I did say that I believe is a healthy form of pull marketing. I wrote a tweet that said, here's the rules of the new algorithm. It gives you 4 rules that will make your tweets get better reach and better engagement the right way. And then I replied to that tweet with a link to my newsletter under it, right? And so that's basically pull advertising. I gave you a bunch of value. Here's the link to my newsletter if you want to learn more. It's an even exchange. I gave you value. In return, I'm asking for less value, which is you sign up, you put your email in the newsletter sign up field. And so basically to answer the question directly is the way you're going to market to Web3 and Web2 is by doing that kind of pull marketing in a way that's giving value that's relevant to both Web 2 and Web 3 people, right? So if you do a top 10 list of best NFT projects, probably not going to be relevant to Web 2 people. Might get you a ton of, engagement and follows in Web 3, which also, for the record, completely different subject. I think that's a great strategy when you're a small account. Like when you're a small account, go with your micro niche of a micro niche of a micro niche and talk about projects and be Web3 focused. But once you get to a larger size, I would say you want to start cross appealing to Web 2 and Web 3. And it's like, okay, well, what value is relevant to both, right? I think Web 2, Web 3 people, as I said, everyone's trying to chase their dreams and go full time, whatever their passion is. So give advice that gets them closer to that dream. I think everyone's trying to improve their skill sets. So give advice on a skill set you're good at and give advice on how to be better at it. If you're not good at any skills, then learn some skills. Take a night and read a book about a skill set and then tweet out advice you learned from that book. That'll be relevant to everyone. So I would say giving value that's relevant to both Web 2 and Web 3 people is like the best kind of pull marketing.
Yeah, I feel like there's some basic like marketing education that everybody needs to go through, kind of centered around, how do you promote yourself or your product or your service without coming across as a grifter, right? I feel like in Web 2, you have a little bit more leeway there because there's a lot of ads, there's a lot of advertising. Doesn't really work in Web 3 in the same way. You're going to be immediately labeled as a grifter, and that, it goes back to kind of to the concept in Gary Vee's book about I think it's called Jab, 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 Right Hook, right? So you provide value, and then you can make an ask, right? And so how does somebody really actually promote what they're trying to promote without coming across as a grifter in Web 3? Because I think everybody's really, really sensitive to that.
Oh, absolutely. Here's a big issue with Web 3. There is a absolute shit ton of gatekeeping. So if it doesn't matter how much value you're giving, if at any point you sell something, you are going to get a loud minority of people that will call you a grifter no matter what. You could be putting out tremendous amounts of value and build the greatest product of all time. But if you sell something in Web 3, you're going to be called a grifter by X amount of people, no matter what you do, right? And that is very unfortunate. It's unfortunate that a space which, let's all be honest with ourselves here. 99% of people in this space are here to make money, if not 100%, right? It's a space about making money. Everyone's trading JPEGs. Everyone's trading crypto. Everyone's doing this and that, creating Twitter to make money. Let's be honest with ourselves there. So to go after other people who are building a product and trying to share value and taking the lazy way out and calling them a grifter, you're just gatekeeping making money. So I want to set that context before I go into the answer to your question is, no matter what you sell, no matter how much value you give, there's going to be a small minority of people that call you a grifter no matter what the fuck you do, because Web3 is such a gatekeepy type community. To answer your question you asked me, do you want to jump in there before I answer your question?
Yeah. So so everybody's going to face this at some point. So how do they deal with it? How do they deal with it? Do you just ignore it? You just keep going? Do you talk to the person and be like, yo, I've been given nonstop value here for 2 to 3 months. I haven't asked for literally fucking anything from anybody. And now you're going to call me a grifter. How do you actually deal with that?
Those people that troll by calling you a grifter, despite you moving in a righteous way that is true to yourself and true to your soul and authentic and giving value to others, are the lowest of the low of type people, right? They're simply seething with jealousy. They see someone else having success. They feel insecure because they can't put in that type. They're not capable of putting in that type of work to be successful themselves. So what do? They take that jealousy and they throw it at you. They call you a grifter. Oh, you're putting in this work. You built a product and shared value. I want that kind of success, so fuck you. You're a grifter. That's where they're coming from. And there's no negotiating with that type of toxicity. So you just ignore it. As long as you know in your heart of hearts that you're being righteous, that you are sharing value, that you're building a product that will help others, and that you're giving more value than you're taking, right? As Gary Vee said, and as you said, right hook, right, whatever the saying is, as long as you know you're giving more value than you're taking, then what those trolls and losers have to say does not matter at all, because they're just jealous people. So I don't address them, because the toxicity in their heart cannot be negotiated with, and they don't want to be negotiated with. So I would say just completely ignore them. As long as you know you're moving in a righteous, authentic way to yourself, it doesn't matter what those people have to say.
Gotcha. Cool. Okay. Yeah.
And I also forgot what the original question was.
The original question was basically like, how do you like sell your product or your service or your brand without coming across as a grifter? And you were saying that grifters these gatekeepers will always be there, especially in Web3. And you said to just fucking ignore them and keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, as long as you know you're giving more value than you're taking, then whatever those people have to say doesn't matter. Grifting is 99% of the time used improperly, in a way to just try to tear other people down, to mask your insecurities. So as long as you're giving more value than you're taking, then by the book's definition, you're not a grifter. But unfortunately, in a space like Web3, where there is a tremendous amount of gatekeeping, that term's thrown around in order to mask some people's insecurities.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, thanks for the question, Northern. Vana asked, what is NFT God's biggest lesson learned thus far in Web3?
Ooh, biggest lesson learned thus far in Web3. I would say the biggest lesson learned, I've talked about it quite a bit so far, but to kind of double down, is 95% of your competition is moving in a very short-term mindset. And any sort of long-term mindset is going to make you a winner. So totally for you, you're building this awesome project, right? You're building out your community. If you move in a way with bad bears that is totally long-term mindset, you do what's best for the community in a slow way, in the right way, and you don't try to do that quick cash out that so many other projects try to do, you're going to beat your competition, because I promise you all your competition is like trying to cash out as quick as humanly possible and moving in a way they know will alienate their community in the long term. So I'd say if you just make your mindset and your time horizon longer than a year, you already have a longer term mindset than most, right? If you're building, probably more relevant to people in the audience, if you're building your Twitter account in a way where you're creating content that's true to yourself and sharing value with others, at first you might not get much engagement. You might not get the likes or the attention that a who's active right now or whatever would get. But in the long term, your value will eventually be noticed, and you'll eventually get that audience and eventually get that crowd, and you will be rewarded for it. So just have a longer term mindset than everyone else, and I promise you, you'll win.
Now, let me ask you, so engagement farming will probably always exist. I'm assuming it's probably always going to exist. Going this, I guess this slower route, and I don't want to call it the slow route because that's not always necessarily true, especially, in your case. Like, how do you actually stand out against these people that are basically triggering dopamine in other people, right? Like, how can somebody actually fight against these sprinters, I guess you could call them, compared to running a marathon?
You let them do their thing, you let them crash and burn, and you stick to your strategy. Now, like, I don't want to sit here and say, oh, if you just keep creating whatever type of content you're creating that's not engagement farming, eventually you'll have a large audience. That's not true, right? You can create the same content over and over and over again for years, and it won't get you an audience. But if you're consistent with high quality content and you're also honest with yourself about what is and isn't working, you will eventually make it. And so what I mean by that is just like you need to find the intersection of what your skill sets are, what's valuable, and what people want. And if you constantly search for that intersection, you will eventually beat those sprinters. So an example is me, right? Like I started, a little over a year ago, and I tried a lot of different things out. I was trying different tweets, different threads, different subjects. All of it was relevant to me. So I was enjoying all of it. But then June of 2022 hit, and I put out a thread that's like, the top 10 Dune analytics dashboards that'll help you make a better trade. And it absolutely went viral. It got like 9,000 likes. And like that was my tipping point. And I kind of had a pause, and I was like, okay, here's what works with the algorithm is like helpful threads. And here's what's true to me, giving out information and value based on what I know. And I found the intersection of those two. And when you can find the intersection of those two, that's when you're going to start making it past the sprinters. The sprinters will always get a certain level of engagement and a certain level of attention. But to really take it to that next level is to find content that's true to yourself, that other people want to read, and is also friendly to the rules of the algorithm game.
Yeah, and that's, I think you're like, honestly, probably the prime example of that in Web3, and a big part of, the reason for your success, because you take these concepts that I'm going to pull you up here on the screen share just to look at some of your content. You take these.
This is on the YouTube. I got to pull up the YouTube.
Yeah, pull up the YouTube. Okay. The link is in the pin to the top on the first pin there for anybody that's not on the YouTube right now. So you've got you take concepts that could be really, really boring, and you make them actually digestible and interesting, right? So you're providing value and entertainment at the same time. Like I'm curious, and I've been doing a lot of research on YouTube streaming, and there was this one guy that basically proved the fact that being successful on a platform isn't about luck. It's about skill. And what he did was he created a brand new YouTube account with no followers, and he created a video that didn't use his voice or his face, and he basically applied everything that he learned to create this video and how to promote it properly. And I think it was within a day he got 1,000 followers, right? So this content that you post here, it's not necessarily because you're NFT god that it's successful. There's an actual skill behind it, right? To provide value and entertainment at the same time. So how do you do that? I mean, like you're talking about the reward for sacrificing your extra time these next couple of years, right? And it's you've got a couple lines here, and it's a thread, and and it blew up. Like how do you do that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's first of all, this UI of your YouTube live stream is fucking excellent. This is awesome. Dude. You got to keep this is the I do think social audio is the future, and I think this is like just such an awesome way to present it. So this is sick, man. I threw you a subscription so I can watch more of these. Anyway,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, to answer your question, it's just very unique and original what you're doing. Anyway, to answer your question, you have to find, and it's kind of what I was talking about before, the intersection between what is true and authentic of yourself. That's like rule number one, because everyone has the innate ability to detect authenticity. Mm-hmm. And when people read your tweets, even if it's like a 2-sentence tweet, I think people can truly detect if you're being authentic or not. And so rule number one, the content you're writing has to be authentic to you. And then rule number two is you have to present it in a way that is friendly to going viral on whatever social media platform it is, right? And so on Twitter is a writing platform. Like end of day, Twitter is a writing platform, and that's it. And so I've been honing my craft for the last year in figuring out what types of sentence structures, what types of wording, what types of formatting leads to the most readability. And the more readable it is, the better it's going to perform. And so if you study my tweets long enough, which plenty of people have, you will see patterns in the way I word things, the way I phrase things, the way I construct things. I think the mistake a lot of people make is they just kind of copy that and then just do what I'm doing, thinking it'll work. They're forgetting about that really important rule one again, is it needs to be authentic to you. So if you just copy it, it's just not going to work because people will know you're not being authentic. But if you can find that intersection between shit that's really authentic to you, right? When you look at the tweets on your screen share, I talked about sacrificing, and if you sacrifice for a year, your life will change. That's very authentic to myself because it's completely to do with what's going on in my life. Right? Like the first few months I was tweeting was all about NFTs because I was trading NFTs real heavy. 1 second. Sorry about that. I got a phone call. I just declined it.
Okay.
I would decline anyone calling me right now, Tully. And so, the first few months I only wrote about NFTs because I was trading NFTs a ton and that's all I really cared about. Then the bear market hits. And I really just start talking about building an audience because my account kind of took off. And now I'm focusing a lot more on kind of solopreneurship and like building your own business and being true to yourself and building your own thing because that's what's going on in my life right now. And so the content's very authentically mine. And I'm just formatting it in a way that is very readable and friendly to Twitter. And if you can do those two things, be authentic to yourself and create content that's readable and friendly to the Twitter algorithm, that's your sweet spot. That's how things take off.
Do you still experiment with formatting, and do you experiment on your NFT God account?
Sorta. I'm trying to think. So I definitely have been experimenting a lot more lately. The Twitter algorithm dramatically changed about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And so
I want to talk about that after this because that was crazy. That was crazy how much it changed.
It really is.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it before.
Yeah.
And so I have been experimenting the last few weeks to try to I feel like I'm in like a dark room and I'm like putting my hands out and walking around and try to figure out where the wall, like where the walls are in this dark room.
I feel like I've become deaf. Like I got like mufflers on my ears and I can't hear anybody. It's so weird.
Yeah, it is. And you see it across the entire platform, right? Like, I don't know about you, Tully. I'm sure it's the same way, but my feed is just completely different. Like everyone I used to engage with just doesn't show up on my feed anymore. And like, I'm trying to figure out even how to get people I enjoy to show up on my feed. And so I'm just like walking, I feel like, again, like I'm deaf. And so I'm doing things like I'm sending out one-line tweets, which I've never done before. Like I usually do longer form tweets. I'm trying different things out. I've transitioned my threads to like what I call delayed threads, which are my threads for some reason over the last month have been, 100% of them have bombed. Like 100%. The moment I put it out, like you can tell within the first minute, the algorithm's like, no, fuck this thread. Like it reaches like 100 people in the first minute, which is like impossible. And so I've been like experimenting with different things. I've been doing what I call delayed threads, which is I put out a tweet and then I wait like a few minutes and then I put on the second tweet, then wait a few minutes, put on the third tweet. And like that's worked a little bit better. I've been experimenting with 4,000 character tweets. So to answer your question, yes. When I had my kind of momentum going in like November, December, January, and I was getting really good engagement, really good growth every day. I wasn't experimenting quite as much, but clearly things have changed in the last month, and yes, I'm experimenting a ton.
Yeah, it's. I remember exactly when it happened. It happened like 2 or 3 days after they canceled co-tweets. That's when it happened. And it's probably not related, or maybe it is, but there's just something I don't know that happened that and it hit everybody, and it was so weird. Like Mel's up here, and listener, I can see her, and we were talking about this, like on the day that everybody felt it, and it felt like everybody's dopamine was fucked up, right? Because on a mass scale, right, all of a sudden there's this big shift in that habit of receiving dopamine, I guess you could just call it like that, and everybody was like depressed, and the market was pumping at the time, and but nobody was really celebrating. And it's just so weird. It's so interesting. I don't know if it was an accident or on purpose or what.
It had to be an accident, because I don't know, you probably read the story of like Elon going to his engineer and being like, why is my engagement way down? And the engineer was like, well, you're just not popular anymore. And then he fired him right there on the spot. And that's right after that, he did the experiment where he went private to see if his engagement would improve. And it did. So Elon has lost control of the algorithm, unfortunately, and doesn't know why these things are happening. And it can't be purposeful on a social media platform that you get more engagement when you're private. Like, that's not being social. Like, that just doesn't make sense. So it has to be some sort of accident that I trust will be fixed in the future, because at the end of the day, quality content needs to be winning, and going private and hacking the system shouldn't be the way social media platforms work.
All right, so what do? We just kind of just keep doing what we're doing, right? We just keep doing what we're doing, and it'll get fixed eventually. We probably shouldn't be trying to circumvent this stuff. I don't know. What do you think we should be doing?
Quality will outlast any algorithm ever. If you learn how to make quality content, the algorithm just doesn't matter, and you will outlast whatever the algorithm is. So keep focusing on quality, but there are certain tinkers you can make to match this new algorithm. I think pretty early on observations are multimedia performs better. So if you're including images on your tweets, it will perform better. If you don't include outside links, like outside links are clearly being deprioritized more. So if you wait a few minutes and then have a follow-up tweet that you reply to the original tweet with the outside link, that'll perform better. So the secret is keep creating quality content, keep striving to be better, but tinker with what you're doing a little bit to match the new algorithm if you want to keep expanding your reach.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. So just keep doing what you're doing. All right. So I'm thinking here about, just to kind of zoom out and go back to the original topic of, how do you make money? So we talked about, okay, there's two ways. There's the quick way and there's the long way, or the flash in the pan. And then there's the long and sustainable way, the honest, the genuine method. We talked about creating content that is both readable and provides value, right? And that in itself is an art. And I think we could probably study your tweets to kind of see what works there. And so for the people here in the audience, I'm actually curious, like where everybody's at. Like, what's everybody doing? Like, what's their goal, right? Are they trying to start an NFT project? Are they trying to build a brand like what you've built? It would kind of help to cater that a little bit. I'm gonna go to some hands here. So Goo, you've had your hand up for a little bit. What's your goal? Like, what are you trying to do on, on Twitter, in Web3 here?
Hey guys, great discussion. GMGFY, everybody. I just think, Twitter, I'm just trying to vibe on the blockchain, man, just trying to do my thing. I feel like right now, there's a lot of people that give advice and it's kind of like unwarranted because, for instance, like this space, how to make $1 million. When I was listening, like neither of you guys made $1 million yet. So why would you title the space how to make $1 million? Is that a trick for Twitter to get engagement? Because I do remember, I think NFT God, he got rugged or something. It turned into a whole thing. And was that like just engagement now? Or because that's a good move, man. If that's what you got to do, just make up a whole scheme and get fucking on Twitter, everybody following you like that. That's not a bad move. You're not hurting anyone. So
it's called tasteful engagement farming. How to make $1 million. It's tasteful engagement farming. Totally, I'll speak for you there.
It is better than Elvis was seen in the Denny's, coming out of the Denny's. It is a little better. But I just think there's a lot of people here that are out for the quick buck, regardless of what they say. But that's fine. They'll be weeded out. The crowd and the scene basically will take care of that, and GMGFY will take care of that. But the thing is, I just wanted to know, NFT God, why are you and Gainsey on such bad terms?
I didn't know I was on bad terms with Gainsey.
Oh, it seems like you guys are something. I don't know. Seems like there was something up there. I just wanted to.
I've never talked to him in my life. I didn't know I was on bad terms with him.
Oh, that must just be another one of these little engagement things. Then I'm not new. I'm new to all the engagement farming. I don't really know.
Hey, Goo.
I'm like a tomato.
Hey, Goo.
I do tomatoes.
Hey, Goo, what are you doing in Web3? What are you doing to are you trying to grow a brand? What are your goals here?
My goals here are to be incredibly rich.
Okay.
And not ever have to work for a mutant PFP or anybody like that.
Okay, cool. Well, I guess listening.
Well, you guys are killing it. I'll tell you, great space. Thanks for having me up, And I just want to say, GMGFY, have a good day, and keep it real.
All right, brother.
That's a nice Pepe, Goo. Take care, man.
All right, take care. All right, thanks. Go fuck yourselves.
Okay, all right.
Nice guy.
That's
a nice guy.
Let's go ahead and block and remove that guy.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming.
Yo, did he just sit here and engagement farm this whole space just to cuss you out, bro?
That guy waited an hour to come on stage and then nervously ask me awkward questions, and then at the very end go fuck yourself. That's what that guy's day was right there.
All right. Well, he gone. He's never gonna do that ever again. At least on MySpace. Benny, what's up, fam? How you doing?
Yeah. What's the deal, family? Couple things. Shout out to the boy Goo, who just came up here to yell at people for engagement farming after he engagement farmed. People are interesting in this space, a bunch of walking contradictories, including God, which he tells you not to engagement farm, but he himself is a reply guy, which is naturally a form of engagement farming. Neither here nor there.
Is this the attack NFT?
No. Yeah, my bad. Sorry.
NFT God hates
I was
space.
just showing him how to prop. Go ahead,
Oh my God.
No.
Benny's
no,
that's crazy. Benny's my dude. We're getting steak in 2 weeks. He's going to come up here and say that to me.
Listen, I was just showing people how to properly critique you. All right, there's a way to do it. Okay. Anyways, I just actually had a dope ass meeting about Web3 planning and some of my plans. Like I had a fire meeting with somebody. And I guess the easiest thing I can say my plan in Web3 is to cross-platform. And that's not to onboard in any way, but just to show that you can do content in Web3 and cross-content it in a tasteful and meaningful way. That's the goal for the year. I have some pretty cool ideas. I'm excited to chop it up with NFT God in person about them. They're things that I'm holding very close to my chest because you all don't have any original ideas of yourselves. So if you say anything in this space, you all take it. Like there's literally somebody somebody took something that happens in Discord and brought it to Twitter. This dude does it every day in Discord. Gio, do you know what I'm talking about? Happened the other day in your Discord. So people don't have their own ideas. So, but you will see very soon cross-platform content. I want to expand the idea, similar to K Money, that you don't just have to be here in Web3 to create content.
Benny is one of the best. I've said this to him a million times. One of the best hosts in the game. I think he just came up here to plug that he has some secret idea, which is great. Props to you, Benny. I'm excited to see what your secret idea is, and thanks for contributing to the conversation.
You're welcome.
What's up, Krusty? How you doing, fam? Are you building in Web3? It looks like you're a founder of Crow Wellness, Eagle Force Club, PR, Pixel Room. What's cracking?
What is going on, Tali? Thank you for having me. What's up, NFT God? Yeah, so, basically, I'm a human first. I'm a lover of art. I've been doing art since I was like 4. I paint, I take photos, I draw, I fuck with acrylic, oil. I'm a huge mental health advocate, and I'm definitely a businessman in the making. Pretty much I want to get to be known as the health guy on Twitter as well. So I have a background in nutrition and dietetics, and I love it. So I'm working hard on creating content and writing content and uploading threads on proper nutrition for, DJs / just hardworking people out here. And hopefully I'll be able to be called that in the space pretty soon. Again, I also talk about mental health awareness in spaces. Growing up, I had a pretty rough life as well. I'm an immigrant, also been in New York City for 11 years, born in Argentina. I'm 32, no family, nothing, always working 3+ jobs, you know what I mean? So like all that impact in my life. And so instead of just, always acting like a victim, I kind of like, boss up a little bit, just write content about that, just, create mental health awareness on that, and then just kind of like merge it into the Web3 plus nutrition and everything, just kind of creating content around that.
Where do you write your content?
What's that?
Where do you write your content? Sorry.
Oh, where do I write it?
Yeah.
Oh, I just write it myself, like honestly, on the computer or by hand, honestly. I'm pretty old school about that. I definitely don't use AI yet. I have tried ChatGPT, but I want to do a little more research on this. And but I definitely enjoy writing. I started writing when I was 15, so romantic novels and stuff like that, poetry. So I kind of like to write my own stuff and just do my own research and just kind of like add my own personal touch, but just kind of like writing myself. Later on, 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 followers. When I get to be more busy and everything, probably be using more AI, but everybody will know this. So I'll probably tweet it out and just talk about it, always open about everything that I'm doing and what my intentions are in the space. And I'm also working on 2 projects. I'm not going to dive deep into them, just to respect the space, but basically 2 projects, one mental health awareness, and the other one is more of a, social club, and then the other one, Perplex, is our agency, a creative agency that we started 2 years ago with a friend of mine. So we're still working on the content for that, but basically we do UX, UI, graphic design, logo creation, brand identity, and that's Krusty. Pretty much everything I'm doing.
Hey, yeah. Krusty, this isn't really like a show space, but I think what you're trying to say is that you've got a lot of stuff going on, and and you want to you want to know how to properly communicate it, properly deliver it. Is that
100%? 100%.
Okay, cool. So you're asking for a little bit of advice for how you can basically build your brand and make $1 million, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that definitely.
Cool. Personally, I would love to see some of your content on your on your Twitter. Like I love like personal development, like fitness content like that. So if you could like tweet more, I don't know, stuff, I don't know, just based on what you've learned, like in a format that's readable and entertaining. I mean, I'd definitely eat it up.
Yeah, for sure. I just started actually maybe 2 weeks ago doing the health threads. I also like to read about, pretty much like everything tech and, crypto. So I also have tweeted about, some alpha news as well, just to keep everyone kind of like informed, you know what I mean? And it's, again, just me researching, just doing my thing. Nobody works for me. I don't have money. I don't, have anyone that has all this info. I pretty much just do my own thing.
Did you
But
have a specific
that's pretty
question
much.
for myself or for NFT God?
No, not really. No, not really. That's just it, honestly.
Okay.
You were saying that, like what's people doing in the space and everything. So I just wanted to, just add out that, and that's it.
Cool. Awesome, Krusty. I appreciate you
Thank
coming up, man.
Thank you. I appreciate for the space, man.
Cool. What's up, NFTs? I know you're a meme master, on the timeline. Always firing off some kind of meme in the middle of a space for one of the speakers up there. So what's going on, man?
How's it going? All right. It's been a great space. It's been absolutely awesome. I've just got to say my baby's asleep, but I think I just heard a noise, so I might have to shoot off fairly quickly. But yeah, great space. I was just wanting to basically ask NFT God and yourself, actually, when you first started out, because I'm just starting out and trying to create content that just makes people smile, really. That's my only goal at the minute. And then if it gains traction, maybe if opportunities arise, absolutely brilliant. If they don't, I'm having fun doing it. But the question is, when you first started out, what drove you? Like, what vision did you have, and how did you implement your goal? Basically, how did you get started into growing an account, other than being a reply guy when you were very brand new to the space?
Yeah, I mean, what drove me is my love for NFTs. I basically discovered NFTs, bought this Mutant Ape, and then started tweeting about NFTs because I was so inspired. But I think what grew my account at day one is I just got super into one single community. And that one community was Creeps Genesis. Like, I was just like, it was like the first NFT project I bought after my ape. And I was like super into the Discord. I was like the loudest guy in the Discord, and I tweet about the project all day. And like that got me, basically everyone who held a creep followed me. And like that got me like a nice base of like 2,000 to 3,000 followers. And then once you got 2,000 to 3,000 followers, you can now start creating content, and the quality of the content will like reflect in the performance. Because when you have like 10 followers, you can write the greatest tweet in the history of mankind, and it won't get numbers. Like, it just is what it is. But once you get that like nice base of an audience who like knows who you are and knows your brand, the quality of your content will start reflecting in the performance. So I'd say, just find the micro niche of a micro niche of a micro niche of a micro niche, get in that community, be the loudest one there, be the master of that micro niche, and then you'll gain that core audience, and you can just start building on it from there.
Appreciate it. That's what I'm trying to work on now, just trying to build a bit of a community and build connections from basically making them funny pictures. But yeah, it's working so far. I think you followed me a few weeks ago and I had like 400 followers. I think I might have just got to 1,000. But yeah, so it's working and I'm enjoying it. So that's the main thing here.
That's the best part. As long as you're enjoying it, man, then I think it will be reflected in your content, right? A lot of people are on here, they put out like a couple of tweets, they get no likes. Like, what the hell's going on here? This stinks. What am I doing? Like, this platform sucks. That's probably because they don't enjoy making the content. If you enjoy it, it doesn't matter how many likes you get.
No, 100%. And just another thing that you mentioned, like about engagement farming, and I did put it in the comments earlier. Like, in a way, all tweets that are put out is engagement farming. Like, you put it on there for engagement, but it's the quality of the content or the value that's added within that tweet, which is the most important thing. So like, you just write it down in a book if you weren't engagement farming. But yeah, not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that's the premise of the app.
Yeah, I mean, I really, and I really apologize to everyone on the stage. I have like a very hard stop in 2 minutes, so there's a couple people up here I'd love to talk to.
Oh yeah,
I'm really sorry.
Let me shoot off. I appreciate.
I was just gonna, on that last point you're gonna make. Literally everything you do in life is engagement farming. Like, why do we exist on this earth? I go up to a person, I say something to them. I go to like a 7-Eleven and buy a bag of Doritos. I'm engagement farming that register person so that he can ring up my bag of chips, right? like literally everything you do in life is engagement farming. The way I define engagement farming on Twitter is just like shit that takes a lot of value and gives none in return. You know, if you have less than 5,000 followers, comment an emoji below and everyone follow you, like you're giving literally zero value and you're taking a ton. And so that's why I consider that engagement farming.
Yeah, 100% agree. But yeah, thanks for your time anyway.
NFT God, you got to shoot off here in about 40 seconds. Is that right?
Yeah, I have someone calling me, and the moment they call me, I'm going to have to shoot off. I'm really sorry because there's Jimmy, Jeremiah, Greg. I'd love to talk to you. I'm really sorry, but we can do this another time too, Tully. I really enjoyed this space. I thought you asked great questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, NFT God, for coming up. I'm going to shoot you another DM to schedule you in a couple of weeks. I think the streaming setup's going to be a little bit more upgraded at that point. You know, I know you're a busy guy, man, so I appreciate you coming out and chatting with me and with all of us here.
For sure. Really appreciate the conversation, Tully. You're a fantastic host. I loved what you're doing with the video. Yeah, we'll definitely be talking soon, man. I appreciate everyone who asked questions, even the guy with the Pepe who came up just to say fuck you. I appreciate you too, man.
Love it. Hey, thank you so much, brother.
Take care.
Yeah, if there are any speakers that have any questions for me, we can keep this going for a couple more minutes. But if the questions were for NFT God, then I guess we can
also DM me. Yeah. If I gotta pop off, but Jeremiah, Greg, Jimmy, feel free to DM me. I'll answer the question too. Yeah, happy to answer any questions.